What is chervil? I recently discovered this amazing herb called chervil while browsing a French recipe for a creamy spring vegetable soup. It's kind of like a delicate parsley, but even more subtle. The leaves are wispy and fern-like, and it has this fresh, almost grassy scent to it. I was surprised to learn it's part of a famous French herb blend called Fines Herbes. Sounds fancy, right? Anyway, I found some at the farmer's market this weekend and decided to give it a try. I chopped it up and swirled it into the soup just before serving, and wow, it added this light, anise-like flavor that was absolutely delightful. It wasn't overpowering at all, but it definitely took the soup to the next level. I can't wait to experiment with chervil more. What does chervil taste like? I already mentioned chervil in the previous story, but describing its taste is worth another go. It's definitely on the subtler side compared to other herbs. Imagine a milder parsley, almost like a whisper of parsley flavor. But there's more to it. There's this hint of licorice or anise, but so faint it's more like a curious aftertaste than anything overpowering. It's fresh and light, like springtime captured in a leaf. That's why it worked so well in the soup. It added this delicate layer of complexity without stealing the show from the vegetables. I think it would be perfect with fish or chicken dishes too, maybe even an omelet for a burst of fresh, grassy flavor. What is chervil used for? Based on my first experience with chervil, it seems like it's a finishing touch kind of herb. Unlike rosemary or thyme that you simmer along with the dish, chervil appears best saved for the very last minute. In that French soup recipe, adding it right before serving preserved its delicate flavor and wonderful aroma. It seems like a perfect way to brighten up light dishes like soups, salads, or maybe even a creamy pasta sauce. I can't imagine using it in a long-cooked stew where the subtle notes would get lost. I'm thinking about trying it as a garnish for roasted vegetables next. A sprinkle of chervil right before bringing the dish to the table for a touch of fresh, anise-scented elegance. Where to buy chervil? Chervil can sometimes be a bit trickier to find compared to more common herbs, but I've had success locating it in a few different places. One option is specialty grocery stores that carry a wide range of fresh herbs and produce, especially those with a focus on organic or gourmet ingredients. Farmers markets can also be a great source, particularly if you're looking for locally grown and seasonal herbs. Additionally, I've found chervil seeds at garden centers or nurseries, which is a fantastic option if you enjoy growing your own herbs at home. Overall, it might take a bit of searching, but once you find a reliable source, you'll be able to enjoy the delicate flavor of chervil in your dishes. How to grow chervil? My experience with growing herbs has been a bit hit and miss, but from what I've read about chervil, it seems like a fairly easy one to tackle. Apparently, it doesn't like being transplanted because of its delicate taproot, so forget about starting seedlings indoors. Instead, I'll be sowing the seeds directly in my herb pot on the balcony. I found some tips online suggesting partial shade, especially in hot afternoons, since strong sun can make it bolt, flower prematurely. That makes sense, considering its preference for those light, springtime flavors. Keeping the soil moist but not soggy seems key too. I'm a bit of a forgetful waterer sometimes, so maybe adding some coconut coir to the potting mix will help retain moisture. Here's to hoping I can keep this little herb happy and enjoy its fresh taste throughout the season. Is chervil a perennial? This chervil business is getting confusing. From what I've been reading online, it seems chervil could be a bit of a chameleon in the plant world. Some sources say it's technically a biennial, meaning it takes 2 years to complete its life cycle, growing leaves in year 1 and flowering/seeding in year 2. But others claim it's a perennial that can survive mild winters and come back year after year. In our climate, though, it seems most gardeners treat chervil as an annual. It makes sense. The fresh leaves are what we're after for cooking, and the plant tends to bolt flower quickly in hot weather, making the leaves bitter. Plus, it's easy to grow from seed, so starting fresh each year seems like the way to go. Maybe if I live somewhere with super mild winters someday, I'll try overwintering a chervil plant and see if it survives. But for now, I'll stick to enjoying it as a lovely, short-lived addition to my summer herb garden. Can rabbits eat chervil? This rabbit thing is interesting. I wasn't sure about chervil and rabbits at first. There seems to be some conflicting information online. Some sources say rabbits can enjoy chervil stalks as a treat, full of fiber and vitamins. That makes sense, considering it's pretty similar to parsley which rabbits can have. But other sources mention something about only the root being edible and the foliage being potentially poisonous. Yikes! I definitely wouldn't want to risk my little bun's health with something unsure. Maybe chervil is best enjoyed by humans and off the bunny menu altogether. Safety first for my furry friend. How to harvest chervil. Harvesting chervil is refreshingly simple, just like the herb itself. I learned from my first snip this weekend that you don't need any fancy tools. Since we want those delicate young leaves for the best flavor, all I did was pinch them off at the base with my fingers. It felt gentle, like harvesting sunlight itself. The advice online says to focus on the outer leaves first, letting the plant grow stronger in the center. This makes sense, and it encourages bushier growth too. Apparently, you can keep harvesting chervil leaves throughout the season as long as you don't let it flower. Regular snipping is supposed to help prevent bolting, flowering, and keep the plant producing those delicious leaves. Win-win. Now I just need to be mindful not to get too scissor happy and leave the plant enough foliage to thrive. Is chervil the same as cilantro? Nope, chervil is definitely not the same as cilantro, even though they're both leafy green herbs. It's a common mistake, though, since they're both members of the same Apiaceae family, along with parsley, dill, and fennel. But trust me, the flavor profiles are completely different. Cilantro has this strong, citrusy punch that can be a bit divisive. Some people love it. Others think it tastes like soap. Weird, right? Chervil, on the other hand, is all about subtlety. It's delicate and mild, with a hint of licorice or anise. Think of it as a whisper compared to cilantro's shout. That's why it's perfect for finishing touches in light dishes where you want to add a touch of freshness without overpowering anything else.